What if I told you that one of the most famous television hosts in America was living a completely secret life that nobody knew about for 3 whole decades? You might think this sounds like a movie plot, but this is the real story of Jay Leno and the shocking truth that he kept hidden from everyone, including his closest friends and family members, for over 30 years. Before we dive into video, please subscribe our channel. Jay Leno became a household name when he took over The Tonight Show in 1992. Millions of Americans watched him every single night. He was making people laugh and interviewing the biggest celebrities in the world. Everyone thought they knew Jay Leno. He seemed like an open book. But behind the scenes, he was living according to a set of rules that would shock most people. This was not about scandals or anything negative. This was about something far more unusual and definitely unexpected. From the very beginning of his career, Jay Leno made a decision that would shape his entire life. When he was just starting out as a young comedian, he created a rule for himself. He decided that he would never ever spend a single dollar from his television work. Not one penny. Everything he earned from The Tonight Show went straight into savings and investments. He lived entirely off the money he made from stand-up comedy gigs. Think about that for a moment. Here was a man who was earning tens of millions of dollars per year from hosting one of the most popular shows on television, and he was not touching any of it. While other celebrities were buying mansions and yachts and private jets with their TV money, Jay was pretending like that money did not even exist. He was living off his comedy shows alone. But why would someone do this? Most people would think this is crazy. If you are making that kind of money, why not enjoy it? Why not live the lifestyle that comes with being a huge television star? The answer lies in Jay Leno's childhood and the values that were drilled into him from a very young age. Jay grew up in a middle-class family in Massachusetts. His parents were immigrants who worked extremely hard for everything they had. His mother was a homemaker, and his father worked as an insurance salesman. They taught Jay the value of money and the importance of saving. They also taught him that nothing in life is guaranteed and that you should never count on anything to last forever. These lessons stuck with Jay throughout his entire life. Even when he became rich and famous, he never forgot where he came from. He remembered watching his parents struggle and save every penny. He remembered the anxiety of not knowing if there would be enough money to pay the bills. So when he started making real money, he made a promise to himself that he would never be in that position again. The double life began in the early days of his career. Jay was doing stand-up comedy at night and trying to break into television during the day. He was working incredibly hard sometimes, doing multiple shows in one night. When he finally started getting television work, he stuck to his rule. All the TV money went into the bank. He continued living off his stand-up income just like he always had. As the years went by and Jay's career took off, this became harder and harder to maintain. When he became the host of The Tonight Show in 1992, his salary was enormous. We are talking about millions and millions of dollars per year. But Jay did not change his lifestyle at all. He kept living in the same house. He drove the same cars. He wore the same kind of clothes. Nothing changed on the outside. What makes this even more remarkable is that Jay was doing this in Hollywood. This is a place where people are famous for spending money they do not have. Celebrities in Hollywood compete with each other to have the biggest house or the fanciest car or the most expensive jewelry. But Jay was completely immune to all of that. He was not interested in impressing anyone or keeping up with other celebrities. People around him had no idea what he was doing. His colleagues at NBC thought he was just a regular guy who happened to be the host of The Tonight Show. They saw him come to work every day in normal clothes, driving a normal car. They assumed he was spending his money like everyone else. Nobody questioned it, because Jay seemed so down to earth and normal. Even his friends in the comedy world did not know the full extent of his financial discipline. They knew Jay was careful with money, but they had no idea that he was saving every single dollar from his TV work. Jay never talked about it. He never bragged about his savings or his investments. He just quietly went about his business, doing his shows and putting money away. For 30 years this went on. 30 years of making massive amounts of money from television and not spending any of it. 30 years of living off stand-up comedy income alone. 30 years of keeping this incredible secret from almost everyone in his life. The discipline required to do this is almost unimaginable. But the double life was not just about money. It was also about work ethic. While Jay was hosting The Tonight Show 5 nights a week, he was also performing stand-up comedy on the weekends. Most people would think that hosting a nightly talk show would be enough work. But not Jay. He needed to keep doing stand-up because that was his income. That was what paid for his actual living expenses. So every weekend, Jay would fly to different cities across America to perform comedy shows. He would do shows in Las Vegas or Atlantic City or wherever he could book a gig. Then he would fly back to Los Angeles to tape The Tonight Show during the week. This schedule was absolutely brutal. Most people could not maintain this pace for a few months, let alone 30 years. Jay's wife Mavis was one of the few people who knew about this arrangement. She supported him completely. She understood why he was doing it, and she lived the same way. They did not have an extravagant lifestyle. They lived comfortably, but they were not flashy. They did not go on expensive vacations or buy designer clothes. They lived well below their means. The other secret part of Jay's double life was his car collection. This is where Jay did spend money, but it was not money from The Tonight Show. Jay has one of the most impressive car collections in the world. He owns over 180 cars and 160 motorcycles. These vehicles are worth millions and millions of dollars. But Jay bought all of them with money from other sources like his stand-up comedy and personal appearances and endorsements. Jay's garage is like a museum. He has cars from every era of automotive history. He has steam-powered cars from the early 1900s. He has muscle cars from the 1960s and 70s. He has exotic supercars from modern times. Each car is maintained in perfect condition. Jay does not just collect these cars to show off. He actually drives them and works on them himself. He is a true car enthusiast, but even this hobby was done in a responsible way. Jay never went into debt to buy a car. He only bought vehicles when he had the cash to pay for them. He never financed anything. This is completely opposite to how most people buy cars. Most people take out loans and pay interest, but not Jay. If he did not have the cash, he did not buy the car. It was that simple. The turning point came when Jay retired from The Tonight Show in 2014. He had hosted the show for 22 years. During that time, he had saved and invested virtually every penny of his salary. By the time he left the show, Jay had accumulated a fortune that most people could not even comprehend. Estimates put his net worth at around $450 million. After retirement, people started asking Jay about his finances. That is when the truth started to come out. Jay began doing interviews where he talked about his saving strategy. He explained how he had never spent his Tonight Show money. He talked about living off his stand-up income. He shared the philosophy that his parents had taught him about saving and being prepared for hard times. People were absolutely shocked. Here was a man who could have lived like a king for decades but chose not to. He could have had multiple mansions and private jets and all the luxury items that rich people buy, but instead he lived a relatively modest life and saved everything. The financial discipline was beyond anything most people could understand. When asked why he did it, Jay's answer was simple. He wanted financial security. He never wanted to worry about money. He wanted to know that if something happened and he could no longer work, he would be okay. He wanted to have enough money to take care of himself and his wife for the rest of their lives, and he wanted to be able to give back and help others. The revelation of Jay's double life became a huge story. Financial experts praised him for his discipline and wisdom. Personal finance gurus used him as an example of how to build wealth. Young people were inspired by his story. Here was proof that you did not need to spend every dollar you earned. You could save and invest and build real wealth over time. But Jay was not doing this for recognition or praise. He was doing it because it made sense to him. He saw his Tonight Show money as something that could disappear at any moment. He knew that television is a fickle business. Shows get canceled. Hosts get replaced. Ratings drop. Nothing is guaranteed. So he treated that income as temporary and saved all of it. Meanwhile, his stand-up comedy was something he controlled. Nobody could take that away from him. As long as he could get on stage and make people laugh, he could earn money. So that became his real income. That was what he lived on. It gave him a sense of security and control that the TV money never could. Looking back now, we can see how brilliant this strategy was. Jay worked on The Tonight Show for 22 years, but he was only the host. When he left the show, he did not get to take it with him. The show continued with a new host. But all that money Jay had saved, that was his forever. He had turned a temporary job into permanent financial security. The other remarkable thing about Jay's story is that he is still working. Even though he is worth hundreds of millions of dollars and could retire completely, he continues to do stand-up comedy. He still performs regularly. He still gets on stage and makes people laugh. He does not need the money anymore, but he loves the work. Comedy is his passion, and he cannot imagine life without it. Jay also hosts a show about cars called Jay Leno's Garage. He gets to combine his love of automobiles with his talent for entertainment. The show has been very successful, and it allows Jay to share his car collection with the world. But again, this is not about money for Jay. This is about doing something he loves. The lesson from Jay Leno's double life is powerful. It shows that you do not have to spend everything you earn. You can live below your means and save for the future. You can have financial discipline even when you are making a lot of money. You can resist the pressure to live a flashy lifestyle just because you can afford it. Jay's story is especially relevant today when so many people are struggling with debt and financial stress. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. Student loans are crushing young people. Many Americans have no emergency savings at all. They are living paycheck to paycheck even when they make good money. They spend everything they earn and sometimes more. Jay Leno showed a different way. He showed that it is possible to save. It is possible to build wealth. It is possible to have financial security. But it requires discipline. It requires saying no to things you want but do not need. It requires thinking about the long term instead of just living for today. For 30 years, Jay Leno lived this double life. He was a multimillionaire who lived like a regular person. He was one of the most famous people in America who quietly saved every penny from his main job. He was a celebrity who rejected the celebrity lifestyle, and nobody knew until he decided to share his story. Now that the secret is out, Jay has become an inspiration to millions of people. His story proves that wealth is not about how much you make, but about how much you keep. It proves that financial security comes from saving and investing, not from spending and showing off. It proves that the old-fashioned values of thrift and discipline still work in the modern world. Jay Leno's double life was not about deception or hiding something bad. It was about living according to his values. It was about honoring the lessons his parents taught him. It was about being smart with money and planning for the future. It was about having the courage to be different in a world that constantly pressures you to spend and consume. Today, Jay Leno continues to live by these same principles. He is still working. He is still saving. He is still driving his cars and doing comedy and enjoying life, but he is doing it all on his own terms. He has financial freedom because he made smart choices for 30 years. He does not owe anyone anything. He does not have to worry about money. He can do what he loves for as long as he wants. The story of Jay Leno's double life is ultimately a story about freedom. Financial freedom. The freedom that comes from saving and investing and living below your means. The freedom to work because you want to, not because you have to. The freedom to say no to things that do not align with your values. The freedom to live life on your own terms. For 30 years, Jay kept this secret. Now that we know the truth, we can all learn from it. We can all apply these principles to our own lives. We do not have to be millionaires to save money. We do not have to host the Tonight Show to live below our means. We can all make better financial choices starting today. And that is the real gift of Jay Leno's story. What makes Jay's approach even more impressive is the fact that he was surrounded by temptation every single day. He was working in an industry where excess is normal, where spending money on ridiculous things is expected, where people judge you based on what you own and how you look. But Jay never cared about any of that. He was focused on his own goals and his own path. There is another layer to this story that people often miss. Jay was not just saving money for the sake of saving. He was investing it wisely. He put his money into stocks and bonds and real estate. He diversified his portfolio. He worked with financial advisors who helped him grow his wealth. This is why his net worth is so high today. He did not just put the money in a bank account and forget about it. He made it work for him. This investment strategy is something that everyone can learn from. It does not matter how much money you make. What matters is what you do with it. If you just spend everything, you will never build wealth. But if you save even a small amount and invest it wisely over time, it will grow. The power of compound interest is real. Jay understood this, and he took advantage of it for 3 decades. Another interesting aspect of Jay's double life is how it affected his relationships. Some people might think that being so focused on money would make someone cheap or difficult to be around. But that was not the case with Jay. People who worked with him always said he was generous and kind. He treated everyone with respect. He was known for being a good boss who took care of his staff. Jay's generosity came through in other ways too. He gave to charity. He supported causes he believed in. He helped young comedians who were trying to make it in the business. He used his platform to give back. But he did all of this quietly without seeking attention or praise. This is the mark of true character. He did not need to broadcast his good deeds to feel good about himself. The impact of Jay's story goes beyond just personal finance. It challenges the entire culture of celebrity and consumption that dominates our society. We are constantly told that success means having more stuff. That happiness comes from buying things. That your worth as a person is determined by what you own. Jay's life proves that all of this is wrong. Real success is having the freedom to do what you want with your time. Real happiness comes from meaningful work and relationships, not from material possessions. Real worth comes from your character and your values, not from your bank account or your possessions. Jay figured this out early in his life, and he stuck to it no matter what. His story also shows the importance of having a long-term perspective. In our instant gratification culture, we want everything right now. We do not want to wait. We do not want to sacrifice. We want to enjoy life today and worry about tomorrow later. But Jay shows us that delayed gratification pays off in huge ways. By sacrificing some comfort and luxury in the short term, he gained complete financial freedom in the long term. This is a trade-off that more people should consider. Yes, it feels good to buy that new car or that expensive vacation. But if you invest that money instead, you are buying something much more valuable. You are buying your future freedom. You are buying peace of mind. You are buying the ability to retire early or pursue your passions or help others. Those things are worth far more than any material possession. Jay Leno's Double Life teaches us that the path to wealth is not complicated. It does not require special knowledge or connections. It does not require taking huge risks or getting lucky. It simply requires discipline and patience. You need to spend less than you earn. You need to save the difference. You need to invest wisely. And you need to stick with it for a long time. That is it. Jay did this for 30 years, and now he has complete financial freedom. Anyone can do the same thing if they are willing to make the commitment. The final lesson from Jay's story is about authenticity. He lived according to his own values even when it went against what everyone else was doing. He did not try to fit in or impress others. He stayed true to himself. This kind of authenticity is rare and valuable. It takes courage to be different, especially when you are in the public eye. But Jay had that courage, and it served him well. In conclusion, the double life that Jay Leno lived for 30 years was not about secrets or scandals. It was about living with intention and purpose. It was about making smart financial decisions and sticking to them. It was about honoring his values and staying true to himself. Now that the world knows his story, we can all benefit from the wisdom he has shared. We can all become more financially responsible. We can all think more carefully about how we spend and save. We can all work toward the kind of financial freedom that Jay has achieved. His double life has become a blueprint for anyone who wants to build real lasting wealth. And that is why his story matters so much today. Lasting wealth. And that is why his story matters so much today.